Hello and welcome to this screencast. Today we are going to see how to install a DynFi Firewall on a Proxmox virtualization server. First you need to go to dynfi.com, download DynFi Firewall. You will end up on that page where there are various images that are offered to you. Please select the VGA installer image and click on download. You can also click to download the checksum SHA-256 file. Once you have downloaded the file, please make sure that you decompress it to have just the ISO file. Then go and log in to your Proxmox server and go to your ISO image file. Then click the upload button, select the file. It should be DynFi installer VGA 1.00, or if you have the version 2, which should be out in a couple of days, it should be the same but with 2.00. Click on upload. Once the file is uploaded, you will be able to use it as an install media for your newly created virtual machine with DynFi Firewall. Just click create VM. You can name it DFF-1-00-1. Select the place where you've put your ISO image that you've just uploaded, DynFi installer VGA, and then click next. You can let the default setting for the system, it should be okay. The disk, please make sure that you use the format raw disk image. You can also select the size of the file system that you are going to use. Something between 12 and 100 gigs should be okay. We'll put 10 just for the example. Then set the CPU as you wish. Maybe 2 core would be better. Click next. The same for memory. We will put 4 gig of RAM. And finally, you will set up the network interface. If you only have one network interface, this is okay. You can disable the firewall because this won't be useful. VRTO as a model is okay. You can also use E1000 from Intel, but the VRTO is supposed to be one of the best, so we'll keep it like that. Click next and finish. Your VM is about to be created. It is now ready to be used, so just start it. Click Start Now. And it will boot into the DynFi Firewall installer image. It should take about 1 minute for the installer to roll out. Click Install. Select the keyboard that fits your needs. Click Continue with the keyboard you've selected. UFS is a good pick for a virtualized installation. So select UFS guided disk setup. We will use the entire disk that we've just created. MBR is fine as a partition scheme. And the defaults are okay also. So just click Finish and commit. The DynFi Firewall will then copy files from the virtual CD-ROM that we have attached to the virtual machine into the file system. This should take about 5 minutes. Don't worry about the messages that are down, it's a little buggy display, but no problem. Please note that on the DynFi 2 version you will have more details on the packages being installed. If you want, you can grab a cup of coffee. The DynFi kernel will take a little while, and then after, DynFi installer will start to decompile the files for you. Once it's finished, you will be offered the opportunity to set the time, and you can skip the date and time, that's no problem. Once this is done, you can either reboot directly your install, or you can go to hardware and add another network device. So we'll use the same one, and here we will use VMBR1. In our case, we have an interface that's configured on a different VLAN so that we can have a proper LAN and WAN in order to properly filter what's coming in and getting out of our network. So we get back on the console and we will reboot. There are messages that are being displayed because we have attached the virtual interface before rebooting. You can do that at any time, even after. So the firewall will reboot after 10 seconds, and it will boot from the file system that we've just installed. We can proceed with the manual installation of the interface here. So we have the two interfaces that are plugged into our system, so VTnet 0 and VTnet 1. So VTnet 0 will be our 1. So we don't want to configure any VLAN for the time being. So the 1 interface will be VTnet 0, and the LAN will be VTnet 1. In order for this to work, you need also to have a properly configured network inside your virtual server, of course. Okay, so you are now invited to put the passwords, its root, and DynFi, D-Y-N-F-I. So the system has been configured in our case with VTnet 0, which has picked up its DHCP address from actually our LAN, and we have configured another network, VTnet 1, which is a sort of emulated LAN. But anyway, we will reconfigure the LAN interface, so we'll click 2, because this is not the IP address that we would like to have. And then we'll click 1 to reconfigure the LAN. No, we don't want to configure that via DHCP, so the address that we have selected is 10.100.200.253. This is a /24, it's a LAN, and we don't want to configure IPv6. Yes, we want to enable DHCP. We'll set it to 10.100.200.100, and the end of the range will be 110.100.200.200. We will set it up from HTTPS Okay, so we can now access the firewall at 10.100.200.253. We will make a test here. 10.100.200.253. So we are now on our DynFi Firewall. And the password is still root and DynFi. You will be invited to go through the wizard and the general setup. So this is now finished, and you can just go through the general setup and use the default setup. Please just take care of one thing. You do not want to block RFC 1918 if your WAN is located on a subnet which is RFC 1918. Yep. You click next, and you can eventually reset the root password and reload. So this is now finished, working perfectly, and you have all the function and features that you want. You can eventually filter what's incoming or what's going through your different virtual machine by setting up the firewall inside the DynFi Firewall. Thanks a lot for watching, and please download our firewall at dynfi.com. Thanks a lot.